Hey guys, welcome to DC Unknown. My name is Chris, and I'm here with,
I'm Devin.
and we are doing Battle of Los Angeles this week. And Devin, how would you like to start this one off?
Oh, it's a good one. So basically, our story begins on February the 24th in 1942. It is right in the middle of World War II.
Mm.
Um, it was the day after the bombardment of Elwood, which was a naval Japanese attack on a county uh, nearby to Los Angeles. It was in Upper California. So naturally, uh, the day after an attack like that, the country is going to be on pretty high alert. So it was 7:18 p.m. on the 24th, and an alert was called over Los Angeles. And at first, nothing happens until the alarm was called off at 10:23 p.m. And then the morning of the 25th, it's 2:25 in the morning, and all of a sudden, all of the air raid sirens around the county start to go off, and the city was ordered to be completely blacked out. And then it was all calm until 3:16 in the morning when the military just opened fire with 50 caliber machine guns and anti-air artillery.
So yeah, this is probably the main point is that a lot of conspiracy theorists thought it was faked by the military because these are war times. I think that they just wanted to do this like to get us more involved with the war, but there's a lot of other theories that counteract this one. But like the main problem at this point was like why was the own Navy? You'd think that the Navy would be not shooting at it if it was a stunt created by the military.
Yeah,
And
there
yeah.
and there's definitely there's a lot of mystery surrounding this event, and that's what uh, gave these conspiracy theories enough room to move and come into the spotlight. Say, hey, what about this or this or this? So then there's just a lot of different theories as to what this could be. And of course, the first one that you could accept was the Secretary of the Navy. I believe his name was Frank. I'm forgetting his last name now, but it was Frank something. Held a press conference the next day,
Mhm.
and he said that it was just a false alarm, and he blamed quote war nerves for uh, the military firing
Yeah, Frank
1,400.
yeah, Frank Knox.
For, yeah, Frank Knox, that's his name, for firing 1,400 shots into the night sky in less than an hour,
Yeah.
because the shots didn't stop until 4:14 in the morning. So 58 minutes later and 1,400 shots later, then we're finally not shooting at whatever it was that they saw out there. And then at 7:21, the blackout was ended, and they gave the all clear.
Yeah, see, like, this doesn't make sense again, like, because, like, if it was set up by the military, I don't think that, like, I think the Navy would have been notified or something, but that's the main point with that one. But this other theory seems a little bit more reasonable, is that um, Japan or Russia or someone was sending a spy plane over us at the time. And this one is really like this theory is really close probably because the fact that the Navy was shooting at it, military didn't really have a warning, and the Navy did state on the 24th that there was going to be attack warnings coming in within the next 10 hours. And of course, 10 hours later, it's the 25th, and that's when it started. And that's probably the main point on like why it's considered like an attack by the other countries, but mainly probably not that, just because of the fact that they just stopped and there was no like crash site or anything. Like if it wasn't an enemy like spy plane or whatever, there would have definitely been like a location where it was dropped or whatever, or like where the military, because this was like over right over Los Angeles, so like you'd think that something would fall out of the sky, but nope.
Yeah,
And
and what's interesting about the Japanese attack theory is that the Japanese after the war actually said that no plane that they never flew any planes anywhere near Los Angeles over the course of the entire war with us. So that's just kind of interesting that this would be one of the theories, and then uh, Japan coming out and saying like, no, we were never there.
yeah, see that's the main problem with this theory is that's the main problem with this theory, and that's why this one doesn't really fit the bill. But the basic theory that's probably the most deceiving one is the weather balloon, the undetected weather balloon, and this one works in basically all categories because the Navy didn't know about it, so they like shot at it. Japan didn't know about it, so they said like that they didn't send anything over, and it explains like a little bit, but when the Navy called out the attacks, I think that's what really doesn't make sense. Like, why would the weather balloon? Why would you send a weather balloon up in the sky when they literally said like before that there was going to be attacks?
Yeah, yeah. And then when you mentioned with the theory that it was an attack from another country, and then you said that there was no debris ever found. That's another uh, hole in the weather balloon theory
Yeah,
because they never found there was no crash site ever, and also you would think that with if it was a weather balloon, you would think that these trained uh, military military personnel, they're trained to use these weapons. You would think that they would be able to bring down a couple of weather balloons pretty quickly.
yeah, that's
And
another thing.
images that were ran in the newspaper the next day show all these uh, searchlights going through the sky, and they're all converging on this one round object. And I could see from this image that was ran in the newspaper. It's actually the image that we have um, overlaying uh, the podcast this week.
Hmm.
So that's what you're seeing right now. But from this image, you could definitely see how that could be a weather balloon. But if it was a weather balloon and it was flying that low, because this appears to be a pretty sizable object, so you would imagine that if it was a weather balloon, it would be pretty close to the ground, and it wouldn't be moving that fast. So you would imagine that these trained military personnel, they're highly trained to use these weapons that they're firing at this supposed weather balloon, but somehow uh, they're either all missing or these shots are not bringing them down. Which you're going to tell me that of 1,400 shots, every single one of them missed a weather balloon?
Yeah,
I
that
don't think
doesn't.
so.
Yeah, that doesn't add up. I think that's the main flaw for this theory. But the main theory, another one is, and this one is a little bit of a stretch, is aliens. People think just because, like, they're shooting at it for a while, took them a while, maybe the aliens had like a spaceship that, could tank all this and stuff. But,
Oh, you bet.
but that, again, what happened to it? Did they just blow it off? And if it did crash or get shot down, wouldn't there be a crash site again? But if it did fly off, see, that's the thing. This is why this theory could work, is because if it flew off, then we wouldn't know. And the government could just play it off like, oh, yeah, that was just the nerves of us and stuff. And, oh, go back to your normal lives. after we just
Yeah,
shot 1,400 shots above your homes.
of
And
course.
yeah,
Yeah, every single one of these theories, it's like it's not a real conspiracy theory unless if you throw aliens into the mix.
literally every theory probably has aliens in it. Sorry, folks.
Yes.
That's gonna happen. We gotta add
Aliens
it.
with super advanced technology. It's a
Yep.
pretty easy explanation to point to, and that's probably why it's so prevalent in these theories. And yes, unfortunately, if you are going to be a longtime watcher of this channel, you are probably very, very frequently going to hear us talking about theories of alien involvement in these.
Oh yeah.
It's just something you're going to have to get used to.
Yeah. We should also mention that there were 5 deaths in the Battle of Los Angeles, and it's not the deaths you were expecting. People, Devin, tell them how they died.
Oh yeah, it's very interesting how these five casualties occurred because none of them were actually as a direct cause of uh like military involvement. Like it wasn't like we had a couple of deaths on their side and a couple of deaths on our side. What happened was they were all civilian deaths. We had 3 deaths involving car accidents and 2 heart attacks from the ongoing barrage.
Yeah, that's kind of a random thing that they added. It was 5 deaths, but I mean, like heart attacks can be caused by that in the accidents and stuff. I guess because of the lighting and stuff. But we just wanted to add this because it's not that funny, but at the same time it is because like it was like not a real battle really. Because when you think of a battle, you think of two sides fighting when it was really us shooting at some random light in the sky.
Yeah, and to this day nobody has really any real idea as to what it was that we were fighting that night. And
Yeah.
it's like how on earth do you fire 1400 military grade rounds into the night sky and not know what you're shooting at?
Yeah, that's another thing. And they said that on the radars that they had at the time that it would just randomly appear and then disappear on the radars. So, is that a weather balloon or is it alien going back to the alien theory? Like how come it just kept going on and off? Did it get so low to the ground that it just went off or did it have some type of sensor or whatever? And they don't have anything to explain this.
Yeah, I mean, I feel really uh I'm very hesitant to say this, but in my personal opinion, I almost feel that the alien explanation is the most plausible.
For now, but there's another theory here that doesn't really fit the bill, but it kind of does at the same time as the fact that it's just it's an abstract of light like in the sky with stars and stuff. People might have perceived that as like, a group of stars and they might think, "Ooh, wow, that's, or the lighting in the sky, that ooh, that's like an object and that's probably what the Navy saw or whatever." And they started, I mean, drastic measures because it was directly in the war of World War II in the heart of it and they're shooting at these stars in the sky or lights in the sky and that sounds like makes our government sound or military sound kind of ridiculous but it's true. I mean it could be a very plausible find. It's because there's nothing wrong with this, but the one thing with the theory is that if you shoot 14 you'd go through like maybe 4,000 like a couple hundred rounds or something and you realize oh yeah this is just a star or whatever. No, they went through 1,400 rounds before they figured out hey maybe that's not an object. What do you think
Yeah, and
about
it's
this?
uh well, what I think is if it if the true story here really is just simply wartime nerves and just the entire country was just a little too much on edge and they were seeing things in the sky that uh that weren't actually what they thought they were. How do you have an entire military base of people, and then beyond that as well, because you've got the people who are running the radar technology. They had and it was multiple different bases that had picked stuff up on radar, but it's like how do you have all these different people who in an hour of firing don't figure out that what they're shooting at isn't actually there?
Yeah, see, that's the problem with that theory is like it just doesn't add up. And honestly, out of all these theories, aliens and probably the lighting one sounds the most normal out of all of them.
So, what we did in the last episode is we did take a couple of the theories and then mix them together to kind of come up with our own theory. Do you think that's something that we can do this week, or do we have any
Uh,
ideas on that?
be kind of hard, but you'd think it was a alien weather balloon
An alien weather
testing
balloon.
testing our atmosphere. I mean, that's a possibility. Or, I mean, it could definitely be like an attack by another country, but to, like you said at the beginning, to lure away troops to the coast. Maybe that was their way of like, kind of like setting like a bait. So like we move our forces more to the west coast there, and maybe they were gonna plan on attacking to the east. I mean, this is just combining a few theories here, but maybe that's what they're trying to do. Like another country was trying to do is like string us along a little bit.
Yeah, I could definitely see how that would be possible. Um, in the case that uh, in the case that this would be say like a cover up, what would your thoughts be on that? Like, so let's say that the government knew this whole time exactly what happened that night, yet they weren't telling us. What would be your thoughts on that?
Well, it wouldn't be a surprise to me because like there's other like events that happened and the government really tries to cover it up. Like like there's just countless like alien spottings or whatever that the government just plays off as like something else. And I mean, this could be a possibility,
And
but we
what do you
don't
think
know.
their reasoning would be for that? Do you think it's because it's that they would see it as an embarrassment, or it would be something that they just wouldn't want the public knowing for any other reason? Like,
See, that's the
what are your
thing.
thoughts on?
If the public knows, then like other countries will know. So like it's almost like maybe they weren't just trying to hide it from us, but like from other countries' knowledge that they have. You know, maybe it was an alien, and maybe they're holding on to like an alien aircraft right now, or something like
Because
that.
people will often point to this event and say that this is 100% proof that the government is hiding aliens from us.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's no way of knowing unless somehow we break into Area 51. We should riot right now, people. We should just go to Area 51 and riot now and watch the military will take down our video just so we don't get to riot. But who knows?
You know what I kind of thought was interesting in doing my research for this episode
Hmm.
is according to eyewitness testimony, which uh, eyewitness testimony you always want to kind of take with a grain of salt. I mean, not always it's not the most reliable source
Yeah.
typically. Uh, so you kind of want to look out when listening to eyewitness testimony. But what one of them said was they reported that they witnessed multiple direct hits on whatever this object was in the sky with no damage, and like we've mentioned several times before, that there was no crash site or even any debris found.
Hmm. So, yeah, I don't. That's the thing is, if it was like an aircraft or a balloon, there'd definitely be debris somewhere. But there was no debris, so that also brings up the implication of maybe it was a spy ship that just got away, or maybe it was an alien ship that got away. What do you think it could be?
Yeah, it is. It's disappointing to me that I have to say that in my mind the alien theory is the most plausible to me here. I mean, because I'm looking at these theories over, and it's not. It seems to be the one that holds the most water, and and don't misinterpret that and as me saying that this is a perfect theory, because it's by no means a perfect theory. It's far from it, in fact. But that just adds to the mystery of this event, is the fact that the most plausible theory isn't very plausible at all.
And I just saw here is President Roosevelt actually delivered that order to shoot at that. Um,
Really?
yeah, but that also cancels out completely. Just cancels out the fake military attack, maybe, or of our own military, because that completely cancels out. Because like, why would the president give the order to shoot at our own stuff?
Yeah, I mean, unless if you were looking to then expand that into uh saying that this proves that it's an even further conspiracy, saying that even as high up as the president was in on it.
Hmm. See, then we're stretching right there. We're going back to stretching for some theories here. Is
Oh
maybe it
yeah, we're
was,
de- we're definitely stretching.
but maybe it was the whole plan all along was to fake it and
Wh-
like frame another country for attacking us. Maybe.
which would certainly be unfortunate, but it does seem to be quite a common theory among the conspiracy theorist community, is government involvement, just to like fake these attacks, or actually do attacks uh, on our own country, just as to use it as an excuse to go to war with somebody else. It's a pretty frequent theory for people to come up with.
Yeah. So, what do you think for a conclusion? Like, what's the main theory we're going off of here?
Uh, like I said, as much as I hate to do this, my vote goes to the aliens.
Yeah, same here. That's kind of what I was leaning towards. But if you're a non-alien believer, probably the lighting in the sky, I would say, or a weather balloon that just got completely destroyed with those 1,400 rounds that it disintegrated into thin air.
Yeah, because I mean, maybe we could we could do a whole entire episode on the existence of aliens, I'm
Ooh, that'd
sure,
be a good
but
idea.
because of I definitely uh think that there has to be alien life out there somewhere. So who's
Oh
to
yeah.
say we didn't that we didn't encounter them back in 1942?
Maybe they're super advanced and visited us and saw Los Angeles as a super populated area or something. I don't know.
But
You,
we probably scared them off with that.
yeah.
And they said, "Wow, this is not a friendly planet. We have to get out of here."
Or they'll come back and with their armies, and it's only been taking them what over 50
Yeah,
years to
and we,
come back and destroy us.
yeah, and we really just screwed ourselves on that.
That's a possibility too. But yeah, if you're a non-believer in aliens, definitely the balloon and the lighting in the sky is probably your best bet. I wouldn't go for fake military at all. That one just doesn't work. the spy plane one kind of, but like Devin said, there was Japan said like, we didn't do that, and we didn't shoot it down somehow or anything with 1,400 rounds, so it's like that one kind of fades away, and you know that theory just doesn't make sense anymore.
Which Japan saying that they didn't do it, that's not to say that we should just automatically believe them, because it
No.
certainly wouldn't be the first time that somebody has lied about something that they did in fact do during war times that they later denied doing. It's not to
Hmm.
say that it never happens, but it's just kind of odd that it would be kind of an odd thing to lie about, just
Yeah.
to say specifically that they never flew any planes around LA. It seems like it would be a very odd and minute thing to lie about if they were to lie about it.
Maybe they're just protecting themselves, like in case like we got really triggered about it and went after him again after the war was over. That's a possibility too.
I could maybe kind of see that.
Japan just trying to hide their trails. But yeah,
Uh,
I think we're done with this podcast.
yeah. Uh, just like last week, make sure to keep the conversation going in the comments down below, and make sure to join us next week when we are already tackling the Illuminati.
Oh yeah, there's big conspiracies about that, folks. Though
That's,
the
of course, as long as we make it to next week, as
the
hopefully we
aliens.
don't get assassinated by the Illuminati before we can release that episode.
Let's keep our fingers crossed. The government might be listening to our conversation right now as we
Yeah,
speak. So,
we might not want to poke the bear too much here.
all right, we'll see you guys in the next podcast, though.